Hello YouTube, I Fix It All here, Team I Fix It All. Today's video is about sassafras. Sassafras. What a word. Look at that. A 10-letter word, and you use five letters of the alphabet to make a 10-letter word. Do y'all know any other word that's like that? Maybe Tennessee, maybe? I don't know. It's weird. It's a strange looking word. Sassafras is a tree for which the root can be harvested and the root can be cleaned. Clean it with cold water and just a simple brush because you're just trying to get the mud off the root or the dirt. You don't want to scrape the thing and peel it or nothing silly like that. And then it is put into water and boiled. I like to take the root and cut it up into discs about yay thick, about that thick, and then drop those into a cup, 2 or 3 of those in a cup of water, and throw it in the microwave and let it steep for a while. Sassafras leaves look like this, and the vast majority of the leaves on the tree will look like this. And sometimes there might be a little, I call these the thumbs. Sometimes you'll see a sassafras leaf and it'll look like this. Let's see if I can mess this up. Oh, you stinker. You'll just have one little thumb. But the vast majority of the leaves on the sassafras will look like that. You got 2 thumbs. The cartoon Land Before Time, Littlefoot, Mom and Dad gave him a tree star. That's a typical sassafras looking leaf. This is a poplar leaf, poplar tree. But once you go out and identify your first sassafras, you'll clearly understand the difference between poplar and sassafras. Poplar, when it's large, is totally unmistakable. It's a fast-growing tree, pretty much every bit as fast as yellow and white pine. And they usually grow straight as an arrow, and they don't have a lot of limbs on them until they get way up to the canopy. Then there's the limbs. So poplar saplings are going to be like a dark gray, smoothish skin with blotches of white or light gray speckled throughout the length of the tree. Sassafras, however, is going to have a rough bark and lots of cracking in the bark, even when it's in its adolescent and infant stages. And in between the cracks, there will be almost a little reddish tinge. This is for red sassafras. Yeah, that's what this video is about. Red. I grew up in eastern Kentucky, and we had white and red. I left home, and I didn't go back and live there, moved somewhere else, so I'm not real good at finding white sassafras, but I can find the red easy, and that's what we have around here. Red sassafras is really easy to identify once you understand a few basics, but the bark again is really rough. Lots of cracking going on between all the way up the full course of the bark. The bark stays rough all the way up the tree, and even the bark stays rough clean up the branches until at some point you start to see new growth from last year, which is real slick in a deep green. A deep green. Kind of, that might be classified as light, but it's somewhere in that color. You know, because that'd be some psychedelic green right there, but this is deeper. It's a close match on these needle nose pliers. Yep. You'll find the deep green on the very outer extremities of each individual little tiny limb from last year. That would be the parts that had the leaves. And let's go find a sassafras. Hang tight. I'm walking over the bank here. We'll find us a sassafras real quick like. Here goes you a poplar, by the way. This is a poplar that it's got the white blotching, pretty smooth bark. And then at the more mature area, there's some degree of small splitting. I've got some really big poplars on the property. But poplar's smooth, and then it's smooth on the limbs. Smooth on the limbs. Usually smooth bark means soft wood. And let me reword that. Smooth bark on the limbs means probably a soft lumber, and to include if the bark is rough up the tree and then halfway up the main part of the tree the bark transitions from rough to smooth, it's highly likely that's a softwood tree. So let's get back on topic. Here is a sassafras. This tree right through here, real scraggly looking, sitting right next to something that has white blotches in it, but I don't think that's a poplar. Let's examine the sassafras. Let's get her over here. Really rough bark. And that got hit by the lawnmower, I bet. That's why it's damaged. Alright, let me see if I'm zoomed in too far. A wee bit. Alright, so here's a branch. And quite technically, that's a rough bark. Right here. Here's a small little branch, and it's rough-ish. See these little out branches that are rough? Let's take a look at this though. The very ends here are deep green. Deep green. Look how it stayed brown and rough out to here, and then it goes to the very tips. The ends are deep green. Now here's how you test if you got sassafras. I want to get back a little bit so you can get an idea of this tree right here. See all the green ends? That's the new growth from last year. But it's all barky and brown real soon, like from here on down. So if the bark stays rough, clean out to even the branches, it's likely that tree is of the hardwood family. Look it up and see. I'm just guessing. I'm not guessing. I'm basing it on information I have, but that's how usually hardwood goes. The way to test this is you take a piece of the green area, snap it and let it peel. And then you smell. And it's going to smell like furniture polish, almost like lemon and lime type furniture polish. Okay, that's your sassafras. That's red sassafras. Now what you do is you go down to the base. Well, if you find a tree like this, be very careful with them. It's already young. Its main root is going to be as big as the tree, but it may not have a lot of outlier roots. The outlier roots is what you want to cut to get your sassafras. Try to find if you've got plenty of these saplings, then really don't worry about it. But I like to let each tree try to survive. So I'll dig down and find out where the main root splits, and I'll trace out an outlier and cut it off and get a few smalls. That way I'm leaving the main root system to allow the tree to survive. It'll repair itself in the spring. All right, and you cut that off, scrub it with a scrub brush, get the mud off, then you boil it, and you boil it as long as you want. There's no rule here. And the more root, the better. The more, the merrier. Let's go take a look at a real mature sassafras. Hang tight. I'm back here at my pond area behind the garage. My garden is out front. But that's a really mature sassafras. Get my hand around here. Rough bark. Got a bunch of bamboo here, just in case you ever thought about needing tomato stakes for anything. Grow you some bamboo. All right, so I'm gonna follow that sassafras up. Keep your eye on it. And yeah, this limb right here goes up and over, comes down right here. And all those little tips of the limbs are bright green. Let's see if I can even check that for you. We'll never be able to see that. Oops. Didn't mean to do that. I'm trying to see if I can zoom in anymore. I don't think you're going to be able to see any color on it, but they're green. That's a really large sassafras, and you know, those of you out there saying, well, it's just still a small one. Well, honestly, it's the biggest one I have noticed around here. I could keep looking. I hear that sassafras can get pretty big. But there you go, guys. That's how you identify sassafras, and here's the main point of the video. Do not dig the root at any time other than in the coldest part of the winter. You have to, let's go back in the garage for this. It's cold. Hang tight. All right, so when you harvest sassafras root, it has to be in the coldest part of the winter. The reason for that is because I'll explain this backwards. If it's warm outside, let's say in the mid 40s, 50s, or summertime, that sassafras tree the roots are busy sucking water and nutrients through the roots and up and delivering it out to the to the leaves and the limbs and all that. When you have a tree that is experiencing cold temperatures, all the sap is really low in the whole tree. The sap is low. The sap falls down toward the root base to protect the tree from dying. Think of it as it lowers its heart rate. It's focusing its energy on the main part of the tree and delivering some up, but very little, not like it's summertime. It's focusing, keeping its root system healthy. It's not drinking water. If any, it's drinking some, but its sap is low. You want to get to sassafras in cold temperatures because the sap is low. That makes the root's strength more intense. You'll have more sassafras flavor, and you'll need less root to achieve the same objective, which is to get sassafras tea. That's number one. Number two, if you dig sassafras root when the temperatures are above freezing, and you get a root and you scrub brush it off and boil it, you're going to have muddy water. You're going to have muddy water taste in your red water. You're going to have different things happening. It's going to taste weird. So in order to get your sassafras root at the optimum time, it has to be done with some work. And you have to go out when it's below freezing. You want to get the root when temperatures are low, and they've been low for a little while. Enough on this sassafras. Y'all can figure it out. Talk to you later. See ya, and don't forget to have yourself a great day.